All right, let's try this one again. That last one died before it was launched. I had a really terrible connection. So I've reset everything. Looks like everything's working a lot better now. We are in the final 48 hours, believe it or not, of Sync Up happening. This is kind of crazy that, something that I've been planning, working towards building up for the last 5, 6 months is finally here. It's just kind of unbelievable. It's like one of those things where you expect it coming, you've planned everything, and then when it actually hits you and you're realizing it's like a couple of days away, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not prepared at all. But I know that I've done all of my homework, and I'm even now going through and rehearsing my presentations and making sure that all the guest speakers are lined up and they all know, when they're expected to be there and what they're going to be sort of covering as they get involved with this event. So I think I've done all my homework. There's basically not much more for me to do at this point other than to come on here and let you guys know that you really only have a couple of days to get your virtual ticket. If you have still not gotten your virtual ticket, you are really running out of time. Basically, Thursday at midnight, I'll pretty much give you till like 5 or 6 a.m. on Friday, because basically, once I wake up Friday morning, that's when I'm really going to be turning off all the ticket sales. But the reason for that cutoff is that Friday basically is game time. I am going to be packing up all of my equipment, driving to the hotel near the LAX airport, and basically setting up, meeting a couple of the guys there, and sort of just getting ready for the event. So I just will have no time or energy or bandwidth to be able to, get people that are signing up literally the last day and making sure that they get their access and their links and their confirmation emails. I just won't have the time or energy to be able to do that. So basically, today and tomorrow are your last two opportunities to get a virtual ticket for this event. Again, all the in-person ones are sold out. We don't have any more in-person tickets available, but we still do have those virtual streaming tickets. As of the recording of this video this morning, we actually only have 6 Virtual Plus tickets, okay? So let me just go through that real quick as we wait for a couple of you guys to pop on here into the stream. The Virtual Plus tickets, as you see here, are the ones that are going to allow you to stream the event. Obviously, you can watch it live with us. You can replay it if you want to, and you're going to be able to get access to a private submission link that you can submit your music to any of the library CEOs that are in attendance. And these are the library CEOs that are going to be joining us. So these are the gentlemen minus Carlos here from Universal Music. He's not going to be somebody you can submit your music to. But the rest of these 5 gentlemen, you can definitely submit music to them and have a guarantee that they will listen to your music and consider bringing you on board their production libraries. Okay, so they get to decide who they partner with. They don't have to partner with anybody if they don't feel like the music is right for them. But I have contracted them with a guarantee that they said, yes, whatever music you send me as a result of this Sync Up event, I will guarantee listen to it and consider it, at least bringing it into my catalog. So for those of you that are looking to maybe get your first contract, getting your first agreement with a library, this might be one of your best options in town in terms of having a guarantee that they will definitely be listening. Because I know a lot of you guys have submitted to libraries in the past and you don't even know if they clicked on the link, if they even listened to anything. You can have a guarantee with this one that they will at least listen to it, okay? Can't guarantee that they will accept it or that they will guarantee reach out to you. That's obviously up to them. I'm giving them full control, of course, to decide which tracks feel like they're an appropriate fit for their catalog and for their clients. But they have definitely agreed to at least listen to all the tracks that get submitted to them through the Sync Up event. So that's what you get with that Virtual Plus ticket. There's only 6 of those left. Good chance those could all be gone today, so I definitely wouldn't wait until tomorrow. As you can see, there is now a countdown essentially going on in terms of when these, how long these tickets are going to be available, both virtual and Virtual Plus. That means that literally tomorrow at midnight, all tickets are gone. I'm going to just basically delete the link to have anybody be able to purchase any more tickets, okay? And also important, I want to make sure that we've had a few of you guys reach out to me and email me. I'm really grateful for you guys doing this. If you've already bought a virtual ticket or a Virtual Plus ticket and you haven't received anything from me in terms of the confirmation, a link to get access to submit your music to the libraries, or just instructions in terms of how this live stream link is going to get to you, then you do need to email me or you can comment below. It doesn't matter. Just get a hold of me sometime, hopefully before the event starts, so that I can try to get you on the link or get you on the list and send you the link that you need. Because once the event's going, if you haven't gotten a link, if you're like, hey, it's Saturday morning at 10, I still haven't gotten anything, I'll definitely be monitoring my email from time to time throughout the day, but I'm not going to be able to have like perfect access to things very, very quickly. So please do your homework before the event starts. Make sure that you are at least getting in communication with me. You received probably some emails from me at this point if you've gotten your ticket, so that as the event goes on, you will basically make sure that you have all the information you essentially need, so that you can just watch the event, stream it, play it afterwards if you want to, and know exactly how the sort of submission process for the CEOs are going to work. For those of you guys that are watching, feel free to post any questions, comments you have in the chat. I'll be happy to reach or respond and give you any sort of clarity and answer any questions you possibly have that you might have for this event. This is going to be so cool. I've already been sort of communicating with some of the other library CEOs, and we also are going to have Scott and Hans from the Pro Feedback community coming to this event as well. So I'm really excited to finally meet them for the first time. They've been working with us for many years, and many of you guys have probably worked with Scott or Hans in different ways virtually through Pro Feedback or through Sync Academy. So that's going to be a really cool opportunity for us to all kind of finally meet each other for the first time, get to hang out, sort of talk shop, and kind of see what's going on. Once again, this is the event schedule of what we're going to be doing. It is going to be this Saturday and Sunday, June 3rd and 4th. We're going to start at 9 a.m. Pacific time. These are all Pacific times right here. And this is where I'm going to basically welcome you guys, do some introductions. I'm going to also, one of the big reveals I'm going to give you guys in this presentation is I'm finally going to just let you guys know the exact production music libraries I've had my music in for my entire career, okay? I know I've been sort of like tight-lipped on that. I haven't really been sharing that. Once in a while in some of my various Q&A streams and various videos, I've actually leaked them out here and there. So if you've been following me fairly closely, you know where my music's at, and you can obviously find this stuff. It's not like it's like private. It's all public information. But I'm definitely going to, in one of the slides for my first presentation, just right on that first one, I'm going to show you exactly where my music has been for the last, I think, 14, 15 years of my sync licensing career. So you're welcome to go do some research on those companies, reach out to them if you want to, partner with them, so you at least know where I have been getting my primary source of my income with my royalties through the production music library world. So that's going to be revealed in that first presentation. So that's something I've never actually sort of given out before. So you guys were going to get access to that. But also in this first presentation, I'm going to be giving you sort of I know mindset training is something that some of you guys, your eyes gloss over, and you're just really not interested in that. And you kind of want to just get more into the technical training and the sort of the marketplace understanding of where things are going and where the new opportunities are. We're going to get into all that in this event. So don't worry. We're going to go do some deep dives into where the marketplace has been going recently, where things are going to move in the future, and where we need to start to kind of keep our eyes open for new opportunities in this business. But if we don't start with a sort of really important part of mindset and how we are sort of internally having dialogues with ourselves for what we're doing in our sync licensing careers, it doesn't really matter. The technical details and the opportunities and the AI stuff that's definitely coming online, none of that stuff actually really matters at all. Because if you've got a self-sabotaging operating system going on between your ears, all of that stuff will just destroy you, right? It doesn't matter what the obstacle is, how big, how small. If you've got like the wrong mindset, the wrong attitude essentially going into this, or a self-defeating attitude, then any obstacle that gets in your way could potentially just thwart you and take you out of this business, take you out of the game, and have you just no longer interested in working in the sync licensing business. So we are going to go into kind of mindset training a little bit in the very beginning of this event with this first introduction. And of course, for those of you that are going to join us in person, this is where we're going to sort of thread. And all of you guys virtually, this is going to be really important for you, even though the sort of in-person networking element won't be available to you virtually. What will be available to you is this is going to be a very interactive and participation heavy, I should say, event. So what I'm going to do is ask you guys some pretty big, deep philosophical questions about yourselves and your career and your mindset and your philosophy for why you are doing sync licensing. Some of you guys maybe have a kind of a vague idea of what you're doing and what your guiding principles are and what your values are. But until you actually write it down, sometimes it doesn't become very clear to you. Or sometimes when somebody puts you on the spot to say, hey, you need to start writing this stuff down, and you've never written it down before, it might be kind of a sobering realization that like I really need to have a sort of why and big overarching kind of philosophy as to what I'm doing here and what's going to get me through the tough times of this business. Because trust me, you're going to have some tough times in this business if you haven't already. And that's why we're getting together here to kind of create more of a support system. So that's going to be involved with this first presentation. Then we'll do a little bit of a networking break there for those of you that are going to be in the room. So that'll be a really cool guided networking break. Then Mike's going to be first up, coming in to talk to about new opportunities in Sync. Now, what's really cool about this is I had Mike send me his PowerPoint presentation because I'm going to have it all ready to go for him when he arrives Saturday. And I actually got to take a little preview of what he's going to be presenting. And trust me, you don't want to miss out on it. I'm going to be sitting in the audience, right, along with all of you guys, literally at the edge of my seat, definitely going to be probably asking him questions. I'm going to be really interested to see what opportunities he's seeing in this business, what new marketplaces might need production music, how AI fits into all this kind of stuff, and what his general overview is in terms of the future of our industry. This is somebody who, Mike's been in the game longer than I have. He started off as a composer, as a producer, like all of us, but then he sort of moved into becoming his own production music library, essentially, and working with music supervisors and producers and all kinds of content developers to provide them with high quality licensable music. So he has done some amazing work in this industry, and I definitely need to hear from him personally. I am just selfishly really excited to see, based on what I've seen already with this PowerPoint presentation. So that's going to be an amazing opportunity for us to see with him what he thinks we should be paying attention to. Then we'll take a little break and we're going to come back. We're going to do some live feedback reviews with a few of the members that either got a premium or a VIP ticket. So I think we have between 5 or 6 of you guys that I'm going to be doing some in-person reviews, basically in front of the room, in front of everybody, and all of you guys watching live. So that's going to be really cool. I've obviously never done that, and I really appreciate all of you guys that are going to trust me with your music, and also just for your bravery for allowing us to listen to your music as a group. I will be very positive. Don't worry, I'm not going to be overly critical or just tear tracks apart. I'm going to try to always keep, as I always do with all of my reviews, I try to at least always look for what can be done, what's working with your track, and how you can sort of double down on your strengths and kind of improve upon the weaknesses, something that maybe might not be super licensable with your music. And for all of you guys that won't have your track reviewed, you will definitely learn a lot from these sessions, definitely in person. And for the members that I'm going to be reviewing their tracks, they will definitely be able to just talk to me directly there in person and ask me any sort of clarifying questions or anything that they feel like they want to get some further insights on. That's what they're really there for, and that's what I'm really trying to provide for them. So that's going to be a really cool new feature that obviously we've never done before in person. Then we'll take a little break, and then I think one of the main events of this, or the main draws essentially of this entire event, is the 3 to 5 p.m. Music Library CEO Q&A panel. Okay, this is where we're going to have these 1, 2, 3, 4 gentlemen in the room, all answering questions from us directly. So I'm going to start off asking them some questions about their companies, where they came from, how long they've been in business, what particular niches, what segments of the industry they particularly serve, getting you guys sort of familiar with who they are and what kind of music that they like, what kind of composers they like to partner with, how many composers they partner with. So all these kind of common questions that probably all of you guys are going to want to know in terms of which one of these gentlemen should I submit my music to. We're going to cover those sort of broad topics first with the questions that I have. But then as soon as those are done, I'm opening it up to all of you. Okay, so first, all of you that are in person, you're going to get first dibs because you guys are going to be there, obviously, in the room. But I have no doubt that we're going to get through a lot, if not maybe all of the questions with the virtual audience. Depends on obviously how many of you guys actually show up and start asking your questions and all that kind of stuff. But I will do my best to kind of keep an eye on that chat, live chat feature that's going to be with the live stream. So if you guys have direct questions in terms of you have a particular type of music and you want to ask a particular CEO, do you like this kind of music? Is this something you can find useful with your clients? You get to ask those kind of questions at this event. Again, the whole point of Sync Up is to kind of create more direct communication with music library CEOs. We often have this kind of big barrier of communication because we want to work with these people. We want to find out how to get on their good side. We want to basically make sure that we're submitting something useful and licensable. But it's hard to get their attention. They're busy people. They've got clients. They're working already with composers. They've got a lot of TV and film clients that they're working with. They're sorting out issues with the PROs. Like they've got a big workload. They've got really very full schedules. But with an event and a process like Sync Up, they can kind of take time away from all of that and really focus on these direct conversations and these direct communications. So that's what my job is. So regardless of whether or not you get a new contract, maybe with one of these guys and one of their libraries, you're definitely going to be much more educated on this business after this event, because you can't get this kind of information anywhere else. You're not going to be able to go pick the brain of a music library CEO for 2 hours straight pretty much anywhere else online. I've never seen any other event or anything like this where you can basically have this direct access to them. So I think that's really what I'm looking to do. Is I want you guys at the end of this event, first of all, feel much more educated and much more like you've got an insider's guide to how this industry really works, what library CEOs really actually want from composers that they work with. But of course, I want you to feel more empowered and feel more confident about directly working with these companies. As you guys know, I'm going to go back to my big camera here. The thing that I've really focused on and harped on for many, many months, in fact, probably the entire history of my YouTube channel and everything I've done, is I believe strongly in directly partnering with the people that can actually get you placements in this business. I'm not a big fan of just pitching your music out to music supervisors and just hoping that they like what they hear and they're willing to take on a big legal risk by taking you on, not knowing if you really have cleared samples, not knowing if you really don't have any co-writers that are going to come in and make a claim later on and create a huge legal mess for them. I also don't believe in shopping or pitching services that basically promise to take your music and shop it out to particular, opportunities for you. That kind of stuff. I just don't feel that it's not putting you in the strongest possible position to succeed and thrive in this industry. Okay, so this industry, it is about your quality of music. It is about you knowing what you're doing in this business, but a lot of it really, I think the biggest part of it has to do with your relationships and who knows you, who you know, right? It's not always the best, quote unquote, best composer or producer that gets the placements. A lot of times it's the producer or composer who has the best relationships. And you guys all know that that's really how the world works for many instances. And how do I know that? Because I'm not the best composer. I'm not the best producer. I'm not delusional thinking I have some amazing unbelievable talent, gift from God. And that's why I did so well in the sync licensing business. I know I have talent. I know I have skills. I know I can create licensable, high quality music. I'm not trying to diminish myself. But I know that the main reason why I was able to do this full time was because I was there and available and had the right direct relationships with the people who had those opportunities. And I just kept showing up for them. That's really it. When they emailed me, I immediately got back to them. When they needed music from me, I always delivered, or I tried to deliver on time or over deliver in terms of giving them more music that they wanted or earlier than they wanted it. And it wasn't always the best music. I wasn't the best producer on the roster. I think in every library I worked with, I definitely wasn't the best. I think I was definitely in the sort of B or C range. Like I wasn't one of the worst, but I certainly wasn't probably the most talented, the best producer that they had on their roster. But I don't know, I can't speak for the other, producers or people that were on their rosters, but I can guarantee you I was probably one of the top, if not the top, sort of team member, meaning that I was the most available, the most hungry for the work, the most thorough, the one that probably checked his work the most to make sure I didn't make mistakes when I was sending along stems, final mixes, metadata, all that kind of stuff. Not to say I didn't make mistakes. I definitely made mistakes, but I was probably the one that was the hungriest. And I think that being because I had these direct relationships with these companies, they saw somebody that was just ready to go to work. And as long as my music was licensable, again, didn't have to be perfect, didn't have to be the best, didn't have to be like, oh my gosh. Some tracks were, but not all of them. But as long as my tracks were following the brief and they were licensable and I was being thorough and professional, I was constantly getting these opportunities thrown at me. I didn't get them all, but for the ones I got, they were very, very lucrative, and I'm very, very grateful for them. So I need you guys to understand that I want to put you in that direct position, okay? This is why I have never shopped music for my students, and I still get these requests from time to time of people wanting to, they don't want to learn about the business, don't want to get sort of educated on it, they don't want to submit their music directly to libraries and face that potential rejection, which I get, it's scary. They want to send me music and they say, Jesse, you've got these relationships. Can you just get me a deal? I'll cut you in. You can have some of my writer share. You have some of my publisher share, whatever. And, I made a video about this many years ago, but I've always said no to those just because it puts you in such a weak position, right? That if you're constantly having to go through me to get your relationships established with a production music library, what if one day I decide I don't want to do that anymore? And I just say, you know what? I'm not into shopping your music anymore. You're on your own. Well, if you didn't have a direct relationship with the production music library that I got your tracks distributed in, you can go reach out to them and say, hey, you have my tracks and good luck. I hope you can open up a door for them. But it might not work out for you because you didn't sort of build that relationship on your own terms, right? You kind of came in through somebody else. So you're always in a weaker position when there's somebody in the middle between you and the production music library that you're going to get your tracks distributed in. So my entire purpose with my channel, everything that I do here is basically trying to hand you guys the fishing pole. I don't want to give you the bucket of fish and say, here you go. I'll keep giving you new fish and new fish and new fish, and I'll keep feeding you, right? That does not empower you. That really does put you in a sort of compromised position where you're constantly relying on somebody else to potentially, hopefully, get you, a career going for yourself. And I think most of you guys watching this know it's not the professional approach. The professional approach in any endeavor is not to go through somebody in the middle. It's actually to go directly to the source of wherever you want to go make those relationships yourself. So SyncUp is really all about that, is actually creating more opportunities for you guys to create those direct relationships with the CEOs. But not just with CEOs, of course, for all of you guys that are going to be attending, I really want you to be empowered and feel that this is also an opportunity to network with each other. I think some of the relationships in the room, for those of you that are going to be there in person, for you guys to be connecting with each other, some of those relationships just peer to peer are going to be as valuable, if not more valuable than the relationships you create potentially with the library CEOs. Reason being is, we do need community in this industry. You guys know it's a lonely business. We're working from our home studios. We are isolated. I definitely felt that many times in my career, just feeling like I am the only one who's crazy enough to keep doing this. What am I doing, right? We've all felt that. If you haven't felt that, you will feel that. So creating a sense of community, basically knowing that there are other real human beings in the flesh and blood, right, that you can actually see and reach out and touch and shake their hand. That's going to be a really cool part of this that you can sort of create those direct friendships with and bonds with. One, just for the pure friendship and community aspect of it. That is very, very, very valuable. I don't want to understate how important it is to have real human beings in your life that get it, that understand what it is you're trying to do. Because some of us have family members and friends and maybe coworkers that are very doubtful of what we are trying to do. And they're going to put doubts in our head and think, I don't know if that's really going to work out. Are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you want to dedicate so much time? What if it doesn't work out, right? That doubt kind of comes in from all different parts of our lives, not just internally from our own thoughts, but from other people. So you got to have like a counterweight to that. You got to have like a counterbalance. You got to have other human beings that are constantly being the sort of other side of that conversation and telling you, I get it, it's hard, but hey, I'm going for it too. You should keep going for it. We got it. We can do this. We can kind of keep each other accountable. We can motivate each other. We can push each other back onto the horse when we fall off. You need to have some kind of community that's allowing you to feel that kind of sense of encouragement and just that feeling like it can be done. If you have that through other people and through some source of a community, your journey will be a lot more palpable, a lot more doable than the next producer that's completely isolated, has no support, has just doubts, has doubting family members and friends and coworkers around them. It's hard enough to obviously get your career started in this industry, but if you don't have community or somebody around you, somebody you can, text or call or FaceTime or something like that to kind of get a little bit of a boost. And this is what we do, obviously, in Sync Academy to the best of our ability with a virtual digital community. If you don't have that, you're just going to be having a much bigger struggle for yourself in this industry. So we want to create a sense of community. That's what really this is all about, doing this in person. And not only having that friendship, but the second benefit of having your mutual relationships here peer to peer is that I know because of that, many of you guys coming to SyncUp already have established relationships with libraries. Some of you guys have established relationships with the libraries of the CEOs that are going to be at this event. So what happens a lot, and this is already happening in Sync Academy many times, is when you guys connect with each other and start creating those relationships, you can actually open up brand new distribution channels, basically. So one producer is working with the library, might need to get some help in terms of adding, maybe some vocals or maybe some guitar riffs or some piano, whatever music on top of their tracks. And you might be that producer or that vocalist that can actually help them out. So you guys partner, and rather than you having to sort of take a sort of risky move and sort of submitting your music to a library, you can kind of get in with another library through this other member, this other Sync Up attendee. That's the promise of what can happen at this event. So I know that those kind of stories for sure are possible, likely are going to happen. And of course, I know many of you guys are going to get that first contract and that acceptance contract with these library CEOs. So it's going to be a powerful event. I'm going to be really, really excited to see you guys all show up and really hopefully thrive as a result of this. And you know, maybe this will blossom into obviously something we can do on an annual basis, maybe more often. We'll kind of see. I definitely I've felt that this is just, it is a lot of work. I'm also aware though that the first time you do an event like this, I think the workload is usually much higher because it's all unknown. Like I don't know how anything really works. I'm kind of stabbing in the dark and trying to just navigate my way through this thing to get to the event. So if we do this again, I kind of have a template set up now of how it's going to work, how I'm going to get, you know, guest speakers, how we're going to do the tickets, like all the sort of different, you know, there's just thousands of little things you kind of have to sort of organize and put together. Well, now I have a little bit of a template that actually worked. So I think I can kind of follow that moving forward. So I don't have to be sort of like reinventing the wheel if we do this over and over and over again. So that'll be kind of cool to make it a little bit easier. If, again, big if we do this again. I can't make a promise that we're going to do this again, or that it'll be a very, you know, sort of common thing that we do on a regular basis. I don't know. I have to kind of just see how this one goes. Also, I need to hear back from you guys. I'm going to be sending out a feedback link, sort of asking for your guys' feedback afterwards, saying, you know, what did you like about the event? What could be improved upon it? Did you feel that it was a wise investment of your time and money? What could have been better about that if we did it again? What should be added? What should be taken away? I definitely need to get all of your feedback in terms of how well did we do with this first event? Was it really something that you want to see happen over and over again? Would it be something you want to actually do? I think that would be good to know so that I decide, so it'll help me make a decision on whether or not this should be something that I should do in future years, or if it just should be like a one and done thing. So, and if it is, there's a chance it could be a one and done and we never do this again. Don't miss out. Okay. So again, going to make my pitch. There is a link in the description box below, and you now have just 48 hours essentially to grab your ticket, whether it's going to be virtually or Virtual Plus. You basically can only do it virtually now, but the Virtual Plus option, we only have 6 of those tickets left. Those are the tickets that allow you to have access to that submission link. We're cutting it off at 6 more because I can't have hundreds and hundreds of producers sending tons and tons of tracks to these CEOs and have them feeling overwhelmed. So we're going to be capping it. So the virtual tickets unlimited, but of course that's going to be cut off tomorrow at midnight. So you can just stream this or watch it afterwards if you'd like to with that virtual ticket. But if you do want to have access to submitting your music to these library CEOs with a guarantee that they will listen to it and potentially sign directly with you, only 6 more of those to go. Okay. So, and the prices for those, the virtual tickets are still $99, and the Virtual Plus, if you want to have that added on feature, that's just $49 extra. So about $150, you get that Virtual Plus. And again, 6 of those left. I don't know how long those are going to last. They could be all gone today. After watching this video, I think a few of you guys are probably going to grab yours. So don't be one of the ones waiting till tomorrow at 11:55 to get your last minute ticket. They probably will be sold out by then. So don't wait too long to get them. Again, the link is in the description box below. Wicked Melodies, what's up? Glad you joined me. If you guys have any questions, again, comments, concerns, anything like that, go ahead and put it in the chat box. I'll be happy to help out. I'm going to kind of just keep this live stream going for quite a while because this is part of me building up my voice for the event, because I'm going to be speaking a lot. I've said this before that I'm not actually a big talker. I know you guys will find that maybe shocking because all you do is see me talking on YouTube. But really, this is the most amount of talking I really do. Most of my day, I'm not much of a talker. I'm more introverted. And in fact, I don't really like having a lot of attention on me. I'm not a big social butterfly. I don't like public speaking. But I'm going to get through it. We're going to have a really good time. But I really do need to build up my speaking skills, because for 2 days straight, I'm basically going to be talking, and I cannot afford to have my voice give out on me and have a weak voice by the end of the day. So I'm going to basically be using this as kind of my gym where I'm sort of building up my vocals. So if you guys have any questions, even if it's not about Sync Up, just about sync licensing, even any questions, anything at all, you guys would really help me out, because basically at some point in these streams, this happened the other day, I got about to right here, about 30 minutes in, and I just sort of ran out of stuff to talk about. And I can feel myself definitely doing that. So you guys would be doing me a big favor actually by posting just something in the chat box, any question, comments that can really help me sort of keep this momentum going, because I really want to keep my voice working, moving forward, and I don't want to just sort of give in on this because there's kind of nothing left to talk about. I will talk though A little bit about the submission process, because I've had a few of those questions come in. So if you get your Virtual Plus, this is only for those of you that have an in-person ticket or a Virtual Plus ticket. Submitting to the Music Library CEOs, a couple of common sort of just standards that I want to, and I guess kind of guidelines or rules. The first one, the obvious one, is you cannot send multiple tracks to, or I should say, you cannot send the same tracks. I'll make sure I'm very clear here. You cannot send the same tracks to multiple CEOs. Okay, so let's say you had a 10-track album. You cannot send that to both Mike, Trevor, and Perry and go, well, let's see who's going to come back and accept me. I will be monitoring the submissions. It's basically all through a Google form and all in a Google sheet. So I'm going to see duplicate submissions very quickly. And if I'm seeing that you're doing that, all of your submissions will be deleted. So they won't even be forwarded to any of the CEOs. Okay. So if you want to waste your money and waste your time, do that, but just don't do it. Okay. Make sure that you are very selective in who you submit your music to. Now, the next question was, some of you guys wanted to know, okay, well, what if I have 6 tracks and can I send 2 tracks to Mike, 2 tracks to Perry, and 2 tracks to Trevor and see which one kind of gets back to me? No, that's essentially kind of like doing the same thing, because basically what you're doing is you're fishing, right? And you're doing actually what a lot of the amateur producers in this business do, which is send out music to a bunch of different CEOs, see what comes back, and then go with that. The problem, the reason why I won't let you guys do that is because let's say Mike and Perry both come back to you and say, yes, I like it, let's start working. Well, now you have to let one of them know, okay, well, I have to now make more music for you because I kind of sent music to another CEO and I don't know if they're going to accept it or not. I'm kind of waiting for them. And you're going to put these CEOs in kind of a bad position where basically you're pitching them something and you're also pitching them only 2 tracks, which is also obviously not as desirable as a full album, or at least, 6 tracks. 6 tracks is way more desirable and much more of a almost finished product than 2 tracks are, okay? So I'm not going to be allowing you guys to kind of do that. It's basically you're doing the same thing. You're kind of fishing to see who you're going to deal with. And that's just not what we do. That's not what professionals do, guys. Professionals, what they do is they create a finished product, okay? So I still think having a full at least 10 tracks in a particular focused genre is the way to go. And then doing your research, coming to the event, listening to that panel on Saturday afternoon from 3 to 5 p.m. Oh, by the way, we didn't go through day 2 schedule yet. So that could be something that can, carry me further into this stream. So we'll do that. And then essentially, I totally lost my train of thought there. We were talking about submitting to these libraries. Having a full album. Having your full album and doing your research, listening to the actual panel, asking them questions, and really knowing which one of these guys you really feel, I'll come back to our CEOs here. Really knowing which one of these guys, minus Carlos here, you won't be able to submit to him, but all the other ones you will be able to. Which one of them really feel like the right fit for you? And obviously when you submit to them, there's going to be a little place where you can actually type in some of your comments about yourself and introduce yourself and all that kind of stuff. And this is really where they're going to see that you really care about them, care about their company, and really want to partner with them full on. So it's like you do need to make a commitment here. You really need to decide which one of these. I really do feel if you have 2 full albums, sure, you could probably send one album to one CEO, one album to another one, and get your foot in the door. But if you have one album, you really need to go with one of these guys. You really need to take your best stab at them and see which ones get back to you. Now, in terms of the timelines, you will have until June 11th. Basically, I think it's the Friday or maybe the Sunday afterwards. Basically, whatever June 11th is, I can't remember the date. But essentially, you have from now, I've already sent out the link to many of you guys. I don't recommend you submit yet. I think you should wait until you at least hear from these guys and sort of get to know them a little bit better. But you basically have until next Friday or Sunday, whatever June 11th is, to make your choice. And then basically what I will do is spend the next couple of days compiling all the submissions I receive, getting them organized, separating them by the CEOs, and I'll send those off to the CEOs on June 15th. Now, what's going to happen at that point is they're going to have from June 15th until July 1st to listen to all the submissions they have. So I'm not going to put like a super tight deadline on them, but I'm going to let them know, hey guys, you have until July 1st to listen to these. If you want to work with any of these composers that have submitted music to you, you've got their emails, you've got their phone numbers. If they wanted it, you guys will have the option to submit your phone numbers if you want to. And please do reach out to these composers by July 1st to let them know. If you don't reach out to them by July 1st, I'm going to let them all know and let you guys know that you're free to basically withdraw your submission and then go find another company or something else you want to go do with your music. So they're going to have essentially 2 weeks, 15 days to make that choice to listen to the music and decide if they want to reach out to you. So if you don't hear back from anybody by July 1st, then unfortunately, I'm sorry you didn't get a deal, but at least you don't have to kind of wonder for months and months and months if they're potentially going to reach out to you. July 1st will be that sort of safe date you can assume. They didn't get back to me. They've listened to it. It just wasn't for them. I'm going to go ahead and find another company that I want to work with. Of course, you can go and submit to any of these other guys later on. I won't have another submission process though. The Sync Up submission process is a one and done thing. Basically with your Virtual Plus ticket or your in-person ticket, you get this week, essentially this week and next week to submit it, having that guarantee. Afterwards, there's no guarantees. Okay, so if you submit your music to them directly, you can let them know, hey, I saw you at Sync Up or we met or whatever, and I want to now submit my album to you. You can certainly do that, of course, afterwards. But in terms of having the guarantee that they will listen and they're going to consider you, that's only going to come through your Sync Up process. So anyways, I just want to let you guys know that that's kind of how that's going to work. And we've got a couple of questions, so that's going to help. And then once we're done with these questions, I'll go ahead and go back to day 2's schedule so we can kind of finish up with the event. Let's see what questions we got. Booster Kid. Hey, Jesse, have you checked out Mr. Bill? He's a well-known bass music producer with a YouTube channel and podcast, and I've been doing some tutorials on Dance Diffusion, which is an AI software. No, not familiar with him. Cool stuff, though. Wicked is asking, how can we put 2 albums on our website? Guess they would look up the title of the album is one link we are sending, right? Yeah. Well, let's say, okay, so if you have 2 albums and you're going to send both albums to one library CEO, then they can definitely both be on your main website page, right? You can just have it all in one link and just, as you submit your music to a library CEO, say, hey, I'm sending you 2 albums. This link that I've sent you basically has the full listing of both of those albums so you can check it out. If you want to submit one album to one CEO and a different album to a different CEO, you do need to create separate links for them. Okay, so that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked that. So you would have, let's say, a rock album and like a hip hop rock album or something, just for example. You would definitely, let's say you're going to send your rock album to Mike of Reverse Play. You need to have a direct link to just that rock album, okay? So it should be, yourname.com/rock album or whatever you call it. So it should be right there, and that's what Mike gets sent, okay? And so you say, hey, Mike, I've got these rock tracks for you. I got this rock album. Check it out. Then on this side, let's say you have your hip hop rock album, and that's the one you're going to send to Trevor. You need to create yourname.com/hip hop rock album. So it's a completely separate website, essentially a separate link with different music playing on that website. So when you submit your music to Trevor with that submission, he's only going to get access to that. So you need to let him know in your submission, I'm sending you one link, essentially one album here. So to make sure that they are clear too, because what you don't want to do is send them one link that has 2 albums on it and then tell them, hey, it's just the rock album for you though. So just ignore that second album, just this rock album. That can create confusion for a library CEO. It's possible to do it that way, but I think for your sake, to make it just, you want to create as little possible points of confusion as you can, since you're trying to sort of make their lives easier. So don't add homework to these people's lives. Don't say like, you need to kind of sort through my website or kind of organize this and figure it out for yourself, that only one of these albums is really sent to you and the other one's for a different company. Just give them one link that only has the music that they can really have access to, that you really want them to consider taking on into their catalog. So sort of get rid of any points of confusion, get rid of any of that homework that they have to do. That would be a really, really wise move, to just have different links for your different albums. So great question. If you guys have any more, put them in the chat box. I'm happy to answer them. Let me go ahead and get back down now into day 2. So we can see what we're going to be doing. So, and by the way, for those of you that have a VIP ticket, we're going to be doing our dinner, our members only, VIP members only, with the library CEOs that night. We're going to it's going to be cool. At the hotel, they're going to make a private room for us. This is something that I didn't even ask for, but they've been really cool about really accommodating us. And they said, hey, with that many people, we can't really even accommodate you in our main restaurant. So what we're going to do is put you guys in a private room. You're going to have a dedicated server and a dedicated area just for you. And I was like, thank you. That was a really cool just thing that they did for us. So that's going to be really awesome. We're going to be in our own little space for a really great time with good food, good drinks, good conversation, hopefully. Then hopefully we're not too hungover. And by the way, for those of you that do get a VIP ticket, if any of you guys are watching this, be careful with your drinking. Even though there's going to be drinks included at this dinner, you don't want to make an ass of yourself, and you definitely want to make sure that you maintain a strong first impression with these library CEOs. So obviously have a good time. I'm going to have a drink or two, so we're all going to have a good time. But just obviously be mindful of that. That's something that we should all maintain our professionalism, even though it's going to be a cool, fun hangout. We want to make sure that we're not doing something that we regret later on. Okay. Um, let's see. Before we get into this, Alvaro has a question. Not a question, but I'm still available to help you loading gear. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yeah, if you catch us, Alvaro, I think we're good to go. But if you just see us walking around and getting our gear in there, come up and say hi, and maybe we could use your help. But I think I've got some helping hands ready to go. But definitely, if you see us around, don't be shy. Just come up and say hi, and maybe we could use your hands. But I appreciate you offering that. It'd be really, really cool. Excited to meet you, man. So day 2, Sunday, we're starting again, 9 a.m. This is where AJ Gundel, who is one of the CEOs right here with Future Hits. He's been on my channel actually before and on my podcast previously. He's going to be attending virtually through a live Zoom session with us. He is the sort of king of vocal music for TV, film, sync licensing. He's got an amazing company here. I can actually load it up and check out what he does. Go some of their clients here. So obviously you can see AJ's done some great work in the TV film sync licensing business. Big placements. He's been in the business for basically forever. He is just a really solid dude and a really good guy. I've had a few of my members reach out to him, start partnering with him as a result of our conversations on my channel. So he's just a really, really awesome guy, and I'm really excited that he can join us virtually. So he's going to basically talk to us all about vocals in sync licensing. Now, this is a move I've been definitely pushing you guys in for this year, letting you know you really need to start considering adding a lot more vocals to your tracks, especially a lot more than you had before. And because he is sort of focused purely on vocal music with his production music library, what better guest than to have him tell us about what goes on with vocal music, what vocals are licensable, what kind of lyrics are licensable, what elements of a track with vocals does he find very attractive, for his company. What kind of vocals would he want to take on for his company right now? What's high in demand in this recent marketplace of what's happening? Are there any changes in trends or types of vocals or types of music or styles or genres that are becoming more and more in demand with his TV and film clients? So I love AJ. He's just a really, really cool guy, and I'm always excited to have a chance to talk to him. So I'm really excited just selfishly to just connect with him and ask him some of these questions. And then, of course, you guys are going to get access to ask him questions as well. So he's going to start our day off Sunday morning with a cool Zoom session. Ghost the producer is asking the best way to Google hip hop and trap and R&B sync libraries. It's hard to Google search libraries by their genres. You can, but I actually have a tutorial on my very channel here called How to Find a Production Music Library, I think in 10 minutes or less, or with a Google search, something like that. I think it's in 10 minutes or less is what the title of it was. But if you just go on my YouTube channel, you can actually look up an actual tutorial I give you on how to Google search them and how I sort of weed out the ones that I feel like, not really for me, versus the ones that I feel are actually probably something a little bit better. Hold on one second, guys. All right, the kids are coming back, and I want to make sure that they don't just kind of pop into this room where I'm doing this live stream. Let's see. Getting distractions and stuff all over the place here. All right, so we have AJ coming in. Then we're going to take a little bit of a break. This is where we can do some cool hanging out. I'm going to definitely hang out with a lot of you guys during this one, and we'll do pictures if you guys want to do pictures or anything like that. So that'd be a cool little break for us to take. Then Trevor is going to be joining us. Trevor of Get It Done Music. He's really kept his finger on the pulse of AI and what's been happening in the space of this technology, how he's using it as a library owner, the sort of direction he feels is going to go. He's very optimistic about it as well as I am, and he's going to give us some sort of specific use cases for what we can do with these tools to basically become more productive, and how production music libraries are going to be using this essentially to become more useful for their TV and film clients and for you guys. So, the AI story does have that sort of scary part of it. Is it going to potentially replace us? And these generative models are going to be something that we have to contend with. But there's also this other side of AI that's basically making it easier for people that need our music to get it and get access to it. And it's also making it easier for production music library owners like Trevor to organize their music and add metadata, auto tagging some of this music. So it's sort of a dual-edged sword. Some of it's going to be very helpful for us in terms of making us more making us more money and more opportunities, essentially. But then there's also the part of it that we need to sort of contend with. So we're going to be covering both of those here with this event. So Trevor's going to give us a really great presentation here right before our lunch break on Sunday. Then we're going to come back, and Carlos Rios, who is the I forgot what his title was. It was Director of New Business. So he's in charge basically of the production music library side of Universal Music, pretty much the biggest in the business, the biggest. He's in charge of essentially getting them new business. So what better person to go talk to in terms of what new opportunities are coming online, what he sees as sort of the future of production music, and where Universal Music at least is looking at in terms of how they need to start, thinking about AI and actually creating new income for their composers and producers. So again, this is all cutting edge stuff, guys. This is stuff that I haven't even talked about or had access to on my channel ever before, and it won't be available to anybody else other than those of you guys that have your tickets to this event. So again, this is one of those reasons why you do not want to just sleep on this and think, yeah, whatever. I know $100 for a virtual ticket, it might be a steep price for some of you guys, but this is your music career, basically, we're talking about. Okay, so $100 is not a lot in terms of getting this kind of information, knowing where the industry is going, like what's happening in our industry right now, what threats in regards to AI is going to be coming up online. It's already happening. You guys have been seeing what's been happening in the stock music licensing world. This is the kind of stuff we need to sort of keep our attention on, and know that it can happen fast. And this stuff does happen fast. It definitely changes very, very quickly. So I think one thing we need to start to wrap our heads around is that we can't get so married to the way things have been going and think that, whatever, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing and it's working. I have to kind of update my thinking about this business, about what is actually going to keep us relevant in this industry for the coming years. It's not going to be the same things that we've just always been doing. We will have to update our thinking, update our approach, and really pay attention to what's really happening in the world, because technology is reinventing stuff faster than we can really think. So this is going to be one of these presentations that will definitely help us understand at least how the biggest production music library in the game is thinking about these issues. I'm really excited and interested to hear what he says. Then this is going to be another very, very powerful presentation. Again, something that only Sync Up members will be able to see. I'm going to have a presentation, I've already created it, called AI Proofing Your Music. So things that you need to start doing right now to basically ensure that you have a little bit of insulation with your music around what these generative AI models will potentially be able to do in the future. Also, I have a list of things you should stop doing potentially if you don't want to get completely replaced, or at least start to have to compete with AI models, which is going to be a very difficult thing for you to compete with. And I also have some other recommendations to ensure that you have a much more human connection with the people in this business that can actually help you create your career. If one thing is going to ring true through all of this is that again, the theme of all this, direct human to human connections between you and your music library owners is going to be the thing that helps you in this big transition. So one thing that I'm noticing with a lot of the stock library websites, because they don't have a lot of person-to-person relationships, there's just tons of producers on these companies throwing music up there, no interactions, no human personal interactions, just kind of agreeing to their contract, uploading it. Well, these are, of course, the first places where these AI models are coming in to get trained on data. And we all know what potentially could happen as time goes on. I can't guarantee it, and I don't know when, but these AI models that are training on all that music data can potentially replace all that music. And I don't know when again, or if that's really actually possible, but it's certainly going to be one of the first places where your music is going to be heavily disrupted and your income is going to be heavily disrupted. So that's something. And the reason I think a lot of that is happening is because the person-to-person relationships that, could potentially happen there are just not available. So as these AI models and these companies want to come in and train on the data, if they come to a production music library and it's like, Trevor's library or Mike's library, and they have a relationship with you, they're going to think about that, and they're going to know, that's really going to maybe not sit so well with my producers, even though they might make some money in the short run. I better have a conversation with the composers that I'm working with to see if that's something they want to do. We might have to even sign a new agreement for them to do that, right? I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not saying things have to be done a certain way or another way. But that human relationship is going to be that sort of little bit of a road bump for these AI models to come in and kind of really disrupt us in the production music library world. So, or at least train off of our data, right? Which I know is some of those things that, we are not super comfortable with. So we're going to be talking about all those kind of considerations and how you can put yourself in the best possible position in the next basically 2 to 5 years as this AI stuff really comes in. So that's going to be something only for all of you guys that get your virtual plus tickets or in-person tickets, of course. Then we'll take a little break and we'll finish up with the final feedback. We'll probably maybe have 1 or 2 tracks that we still need to get through. And we'll do just kind of some general Q&As at the very, very end. I really kind of just want to talk to you guys about AI. I want to talk to you about how you're feeling about it. What your point of view is. I think some of these conversations are better for, in person or at least live interactive here on YouTube. I've made a lot of videos on it. I have a lot of, sort of points of view. I've shared its concerns, potential fatal flaws, as I pointed out, the legal risks of all that kind of stuff. But I kind of want to just sort of pick your guys' brains and let you guys share your thoughts, your opinions, maybe some things that I haven't been considering about this. I think we can kind of create a little bit of a hive mind of really interesting insights for this industry. So that would be kind of a cool opportunity for us to do that as we wrap up with the event. And yeah, that's what I got for you guys. So Ghost, I think you had another producer. Yeah. How do you block out negative and doubtful thoughts on your music production? Ooh, what's your personal recipe to overcome this? This is a great question, Ghost. I don't know if you guys caught, and Ghost, I don't know if you caught my recent interview with Papstar. That was a sort of a member. I had done an original interview with, I think it was 2019, because he had a really rough year. He had multiple suicide attempts. He had lost his daughter. His daughter passed away, lost his marriage. I got divorced. And just like all of life was basically just beating him down. Just every negative thing that could happen to a guy, it happened to him. And naturally, suicide seemed to be the solution for it. And, for one reason or another, it didn't work out. His suicides weren't successful. And he figured out that there was a way for him to bounce back from even that low point in life. And we just had a conversation about it just literally last week. So I highly encourage you, Ghost, go check out that interview, because I asked him that exact question. I said, how did you, because we all do it a little bit differently, right? There are sort of some guiding principles, but we all kind of have to do it a little bit of our own way. And I asked him this, and you should hear it from him directly, but I'll summarize what he said. I said, how did you get through that, extremely negative time in your life in terms of all those thoughts that were telling you to just give up, give in, it's too hard, it's too painful, it's too dark, there's no hope, how did you get through that? And he said, basically what he did is he had to eliminate limiting beliefs. So he had to first identify which beliefs he had that were limiting. So one of them for him was, you'll never succeed, it'll never work out, life will never get better, right? These are all limiting thoughts. These are all sort of black and white, all or nothing kind of thoughts, where it's like, life is pretty nuanced. The reality of life is things are nuanced, right? Nothing that happens to us is always purely good or purely bad. There's always like this mixed kind of result of like, some things seem bad in the short run, and as time goes by you realize, I needed that bad thing to happen to me because it opened up new opportunities, or it helped me grow, or life is very gray. It's kind of nuanced, right? So when we get these black or white, negative, all or nothing, kind of thinking thoughts, it sort of puts us in these kind of spirals, right? So his suggestion, at least, was to first identify what those are. So you have to kind of a lot of times meditation can help you do that. Just kind of slowing down, having more time of solitude, meaning that you're not constantly listening to YouTube. Sorry, I'm part of the problem here. Not listening to YouTube all the time, not listening to music all the time, not participating in social media, but literally like turning stuff off for a while. And not reading books, and not having the thoughts of any other human beings in your mind for an extended period of time, at least, here and there throughout the day, maybe a couple of hours, and really just get to that place of solitude where you can kind of get back to your own thoughts and your own worries and your own concerns, and not be so distracted by what other people are thinking about and what their priorities are and what's going on in their lives. But what's really going on in your life, right? What's really happening internally? It's one thing we've kind of lost a bit with the modern age of the internet and social media is solitude. We used to have that because, you used to have, if you were waiting in line at the post office or whatever, you didn't have your phone to sit there and kind of take care of your little boredom or anxiety of waiting in line. You literally had to just sit there kind of silently, or, talk to the person next to you, God forbid. So, we used to have these moments in time where in just our day-to-day life, where there'd be like an hour or two of just kind of boredom and you just sit there. But that was an opportunity for us to kind of get in touch with like a deeper voice, like a deeper conversation that's kind of happening. So now that you're aware that you probably do, we all have limiting beliefs. Now that you know that you probably do have some limiting beliefs, just start to pay attention to them. That's the first step. Is just notice them. You don't have to do anything about them. You don't have to stop them. Like, you don't have to have an agenda of like, oh, I got to find them so I can kill them and take them out. You don't have to come about it that way. You just have to start to notice when they come up. And you might just notice one in the course of a whole week of trying this out. You might just finally go, whoa, I constantly tell myself that my music is probably not that good. I just realized that I tell myself that all the time, but I wasn't conscious that that was a conversation that was going on. Again, that's why blocking out a lot of social media, a lot of just the media consumption that we do, blocking that out for a while, maybe will clear out that noise so you can start to hear those thoughts and those voices a little more clearly. Once you start to notice them, just that's basically the first step. I think the next step then is trying to figure out how you can replace them. And that's a trickier part, because a lot of times we need to have some evidence to know, okay, well, I keep telling myself my music's not good enough, I probably won't succeed. How do I start believing in myself? Like, what evidence do I need to put in front of myself to go, oh, okay, I can do this? So that's a taller order. Okay, I offer some resources to be able to do that. I think pro feedback is probably the best way that you can start to build some confidence if it's really one of those things you're just really struggling even having any confidence in your production skills. Because I will be honest with you, I'm not going to just give you a pat on the back and cheerlead you just because you put music up on the platform. Like, I try to liken myself to a good doctor. A good doctor will tell you if you got cancer. Okay, he's not going to tell you like, here's a lollipop, everything's good, don't worry about it. Like, I'll let you know where the parts of your track need work. But I will always try to find something in your track that I feel is actually working and is a strength. And I'll tell you, hey, you need to start doubling down on that. Or I'll give you some suggestions on, like, you seem like you're trying to work in a couple of different directions at once. Maybe if you just really focus over here, you're going to find a better output. So I have found, at least the feedback I've gotten from our pro feedback members, is that they feel so much more empowered and feel like, oh, I do have a future in this business. And now I've heard from library owners. We have library owners that review your music, and other composers, and myself. Once you hear from us a couple of times, you'll start to go, okay, I think I now know how to get better at this. And we'll be letting you know as we listen to your music, time and time again, every single month, what's working, what's not working so well, and if you're getting better or there's some course correction needed. So I do offer some services that can help you with that. But aside from that, you definitely have to just kind of focus on small goals. Don't think that like tomorrow you're going to feel like Superman. You're like, now I'm a confident composer. It's not something you can just turn on in your brain and immediately have. But if you just focus on like, let me get better at something like 1% today or this week, let me just do something like 1% better than I did last week, then I don't know. I don't see how you, like, by the end of the week, you're going to go like, okay, I got a little bit better at my mixing this week. I didn't master how to mix my tracks, and I'm not like, I'm a mixing expert or anything like that. But my drums, my kick punches a little bit harder through my mix. That's a win. So you got to just like start putting those in your checkbox and celebrate that and go like, you know what? I just made myself 1% better today, or 1% better this week. Imagine if I stack up, a whole year of 1% wins. Where am I going to be in 1 year? That's the kind of positive focus you really want to kind of hold on to, right? That's the kind of stuff, at least for me, that's how I sort of get through these moments of like, oh my God, there's a mountain of work ahead of me. I have so much I have to do. I have to become an expert on all these different things. What am I going to do? That thought will just kill you, right? That thought is going to have you running for the hills, and you're going to give up. You're never going to get out of bed. So don't think about the entire mountain of work you have to do. Just think about the first step you got to take today. Like literally today, what's the one thing I can do today to get a little better at my craft and start building up that confidence and building up and getting myself some evidence that I do have what it takes. So that's what it really comes down to, is kind of identifying those thoughts, trying to replace them with more enabling and empowering thoughts like I can do this, or I believe I can do this, or I know I can do this. Like those are the kind of the ones you have to kind of consciously choose to start saying, even when you don't believe them. Like you have to basically just start consciously choosing to say that even though you don't believe it, and then start putting things into action. Like you can't just sit under a tree, hold your hands like this and just, I'm going to be better and expect anything to happen. Like that obviously isn't going to get you anywhere in life. You might be more peaceful at the end of it, which is something. I'm not saying that's nothing, but it is going to require, of course, action. But the kind of action that you need to take is small steps, nothing big, nothing dramatic, and don't expect to reinvent the wheel overnight. You really want to see this as a slow and steady march towards improving your craft. Okay. So I hope that kind of helps. GR, you heard that recent video? Yeah, with the Papstar interview. It's a really, really empowering one. In fact, that one interview, it's like, if I could summarize what Sync My Music is all about, it's pretty much that video. Like, we do talk about sync licensing, of course. We talk about production music. We talk about royalties. We talk about all these kind of things. But I realized like my channel's not really about that. If you kind of dig deeper into the stories from you guys, the stories from the students, the stories from producers that have come into my sort of world and shared with us what's going on with them. You know, you listen to a story and you realize, like, at least I think that's what Sync My Music is all about. It's about empowerment. It's about a human being realizing he has potential, right? He or she. I know. I, 95%. I've seen my stats on YouTube, guys. 95% of you are men. I know. For the few of you females that are watching and women are watching, I know sometimes you guys call me out and I was like, hey, you're always talking about men and this and that. 95% of you are guys. I'm just going to speak to my audience. I know. Sorry if you're a girl, if you're a lady, you're offended by that. Sorry. Just replace he or she, whatever feels right to you. Okay. But just for simplicity and sake, I'm just going to, talk to you because I know most of you guys are guys. But it's really about us being able to sort of figure out how we can find power and empower ourselves with our lives, okay? We use the avenue of sync licensing to do it, but really it's a broader thing that we're doing here. We're really realizing that we're not victims. We don't have to accept the crappy things in life. We can actually empower ourselves. We can change our mindsets. We can actually create amazing new futures for ourselves through sync licensing and through our careers. But Papstar's story really is at the heart of why I do what I do, because I've seen this happen time and time again. Producers who feel like the music industry has screwed them over. They have no hope for the future. There's just no reason to keep going with this. We might as well just give up because the whole thing is rigged and it's all about who you know, and I'm not connected, and I'm blah 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 blah. And then, they kind of come into this world and they realize, there's a lot I can do with sync licensing. There's a lot I can control. There's a lot I can sort of focus on and be positive and productive. And I can look towards solutions. I can change my strategy. So when people come into our world here and they realize that there's a really positive community to be a part of, they kind of, at least that's what I wanted to create. They feel like, this is kind of what I've been looking for, is a sort of reason to be optimistic, right? Like a reason to feel that I can do something more than just claim victimhood and go, well, nobody gave me a shot. And if only these libraries would give me a chance, then maybe I could blah, blah, blah. But they don't want to sign me because X, Y, or Z. They don't like me or whatever, right? The victim stuff really is so popular right now in our culture, in our world. And I am trying to definitely become an antidote to all that kind of stuff. That there are definitely times where we're going to feel beat up. And I've shared with you guys some of those times I have felt beat up and I feel like I want to play the victim and I want the pity party and I want to say, woe is me. I still struggle with that, guys. I am just as human as all of you guys, okay? But then it becomes this kind of conscious choice to go, is that going to get me anywhere, right? I feel, like there's a rain on my parade right now. And I want to sulk and I want to just hang out and sit in bed and cry, woe is me. And maybe for a little while I need to do that, lick my wounds and go, whatever. But in the long run, where is that going to take me? Am I going to be better off if I constantly cling to that, hold on to that, keep that narrative and that framing in my mind? Is that actually going to put me in a better position tomorrow? We all know the answer is no. So we got to make a conscious choice at some point to go like, all right, dust it off, shake it off. That one didn't work out, got rejected, feeling defeated, feeling unmotivated, feeling like I don't want to make music anymore. That's definitely been part of my big, a very major part of my journey in sync licensing. But just figuring out how to move forward. How do we go on to that next sort of level and figure out how to just sort of, get back on the horse, get back on the trail and keep grinding, basically. And that's what I think we can do for each other, obviously, with our community and with this amazing event coming up with Sync Up here. So, all right, Ghost Producer. Honestly, when you get the feeling that the thought of this is working, I can make a living with my craft. When did you get that concrete feeling and start seeing revenue? That's a good question. Like for me, I think I had a sort of very, my memory of when I first started was not that it would be full-time income. I mean, maybe I had some sort of a background dream that like, maybe this is, I'll get some massive income with this. But I kind of was thinking, is it more of like kind of a side gig, maybe some, grocery money or whatever. I don't think I had a necessarily huge, I didn't take myself that seriously. I think that's probably how I should frame it. It's like, I didn't take myself so seriously. Like I didn't even have my own website. there were a lot of things I wasn't doing in the beginning. I also wasn't being realistic about my actual weaknesses. For me, mixing was one of my biggest weaknesses in the beginning. I think a lot of it came down to like my sample choices. I was probably just using the wrong samples, but wasn't taking the time to make sure my mixes were loud and impactful, just like the other single licensing tracks in the catalogs that I got accepted by. So yeah, I kind of struggled with that. I was definitely a big dreamer, but just probably wasn't taking myself seriously enough in the beginning. But it wasn't until I think 2 to 3, maybe 4 years into it where I started seeing some significant income where I was like, oh, this could be something that I kind of count on for my income. So it took a few years before I started to see that income. All the while I had day gigs. Like I basically was an independent contractor doing video work for various clients. I had various gigs here and there. I probably had a bunch of other side hustles I was doing. I don't even remember what I was doing, but single licensing obviously was a kind of a bigger, grander goal I was going for, but I had to supplement my income. The other thing I did massively during this time was keep all of my expenses extremely low. Okay, so I found this kind of amazing apartment back in the day that was like just, I think it was like $500 a month. And even at the time, that was actually cheap for LA essentially. So I had found a really cheap apartment, sort of hung under that as long as I could. And when I lost that one, I had to find another cheap apartment. And I'll tell you guys actually that story during Sync Up in terms of where I was going at the early stages of my career. But my only promise I made to myself at the beginning was I never want to get a day job again. I had a horrible day job at the startup company that just left me with just stomach aches and headaches, and I had a really bad time with this company. So I just made a sort of what do you call it? A promise to myself that I didn't care what I did as long as I didn't have to go get a day job and say good morning to managers and bosses that I didn't respect. Didn't matter. I'll go clean toilets. I'll go mop floors. I will go mow lawns. I don't care what it is. I just never wanted to do that again. So that's what created this kind of desperation in me that I was like, okay, I've got a little bit of unemployment that can kind of keep me afloat here. I'll get some side gigs, but this music thing, maybe I can kind of start to build that up into something. So for me, it took 3 to 4, probably 3 to 4 years before I saw like, okay, this can actually turn into something for me. So it's a long process, obviously. So it doesn't have to be that long for everybody. I know some composers that actually get some big breaks much sooner than that. But for the average composer, I've always told you guys that it's like 2 to 5 years before you can kind of see some significant income where you feel like, okay, this is actually going to be something I can kind of rely on for my bills. So yeah, that was when my feeling kind of came in. But all the while, in that 2 to 5 years for me, one royalty check I'd get would be like really big and amazing and like way bigger than the last one. And I was like, wow, like I'm a rock star. This is going to just keep growing. And then the very next royalty check, it would go all the way back down to maybe where the previous one was. So there is this definitely huge fluctuation in your royalties, especially in the beginning of your career. I just remember that now as time has gone on, it's become much more stable and more predictable in terms of I have a range within a few thousand of where my royalties usually stay. But in the beginning, it's like it can be $1,500 and then $75. Like literally you can have, crazy amounts of just fluctuations in the very beginning. So that was always frustrating because sometimes I felt like I'm doing things right, I'm growing. And then the next one, it's like, oh, I'm a failure. Nothing worked out. That was just a fluke. I'll never see that money again. And then maybe the next one, it would grow a little bit more. I'm like, oh, maybe I am doing something right. There's a lot of mixed signals that come in. And a lot of that just comes down to the fact that your tracks are just for the first time getting out into the networks. So some placements are just going to be more lucrative than others. So you just don't have a large number of tracks. So with those small numbers of tracks getting placements, there's just larger variations. But when you have a larger number of tracks as the years go on, as I do now, all that kind of starts to even out a little bit more. So some will be more, some will be less, but you now have potentially hundreds of tracks, all kind of getting you placements at various levels. So you actually start to see this kind of leveling off a little bit of your royalties. At least I hope that's, if you're doing things right, I think that's what you should be seeing as time goes on. So. Well, I'm glad that helped, Ghost. I appreciate it. Hang in there. We're all in the same boat. Okay, we all go through different struggles and we're in different seasons of our lives, but we are all human beings and we're all trying to figure out how to navigate these waters, how to stay productive, how to stay motivated. Obviously, now how to get ourselves through this AI tech revolution that's basically happening. So I'll go ahead and do one last pitch for these tickets, and then I'll sort of hop off here again. 48 hours notice. You can see here, you got basically a couple of hours left, basically about a day and a half before tomorrow at midnight, when all of these are going to be gone. Okay, so all these tickets will be no longer available. You cannot buy any tickets on Fridays, basically today and tomorrow, that's it. The description box has the link so you can go get yours. There's only 6 Virtual Plus tickets. Those are the tickets that allow you to submit your music directly to these library CEOs and have a guarantee that they'll listen. And with your Virtual or Virtual Plus option, you can stream the entire event from your home anytime. Obviously not anytime, but while we're having the event go on. It's going to be this Saturday and Sunday, 9 to 5 p.m. Pacific time, both days. But you also get access to the recorded video, so you do get to replay it. That was a common question from a lot of you guys. Can I replay it? I can't make it, or I can only make part of it. Absolutely. The links that you're going to get sent to you on Saturday and Sunday are going to be recorded, so you can definitely go back and rewatch them as long as you want to. You can scrub through things, skip through parts if you don't want to watch certain parts of it. So that's what you guys got. The virtual tickets are $99, and the optional upgrade for the virtual plus is just $49. So only 6 of those left, so definitely don't wait on that. Thank you guys for helping me get through this stream. We made it past an hour, so I feel good. I worked out my vocal cords. I feel like I had a really good solid exercise today in terms of building up my vocals, and my voice still feels really, really good right now. So you guys have really helped me out with that. So once again, I do appreciate that. And please, please, please do join us. If you haven't gotten your ticket, just click on the link, get it. It's worth an investment in your career. Trust me, you're going to be way more prepared, way more ready for the future in this industry as a result of just this one weekend. Even if you don't participate the entire time and watch with us live, you just come back and scroll through it and watch watch the AI presentations, watch Mike's, watch Trevor's, watch the CEO panel. You can put it on 1.5 or 2.0, whatever you want to do. Just a couple of these, basically a couple of hours of your time will put you far, far ahead of everybody else who's not paying attention to this stuff and is not investing in getting educated in this space. So I think it's going to be a really good use of your time and your money for sure. So I appreciate it. Thank you, GR. Appreciate you guys joining us and being available and chiming in. Looking forward to seeing you guys. I'll come back again, I think tomorrow, do one more last minute, 24 hours sort of. It's the end for the ticket sales, and we'll do some more streaming. So come back and join me. I'll probably be going live around the same time, maybe 7 a.m., 8 a.m., something like that. So we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Until then, you guys have a fantastic